What is up, everybody? Happy Friday and welcome to the Early Edge. The chat is already buzzing with a lot of picks, a lot of good cheer, a lot of good morning, Early Edge family. A good morning back to you. And we had a really good day yesterday. Let's take a look at the recap screen. 2 X's, 2 losses, but we got 6 green check marks. We'll take 6 and 2 pretty much every time. After a 3 and 4 Wednesday, we hit it hard with a 6 and 2 Thursday. And ladies and gentlemen, I just want to get right to it because we've got a lot of picks. We got some sports line picks. I see some Rangers money line picks. We'll see if the sports line people agree with that. We've got baseball, we've got golf, we've got NBA. A lot to talk about. And you know, it's a very special day. It's BPE Friday, folks.
Whoa! Let's go! Let's go! Yes!
I'm always looking at Mike because I want to know like what type of book he's reading. I want to see if I can identify the title. I want to see if he's going to break character and actually smile, and he never does. It's just perfect every single time. But I gotta say, Eric David, you have it right. You say smash the like button. Thank you very much for saying that. Everybody smash the like button for BPE Friday and smash it for the little chip me up you're about to get.
Good morning, Sia. Good morning, Buckets. Good morning, Mike. Good morning, Snake. Good morning, Early Edge fam. And I got to tell you that while I do enjoy keep on pushing the old school Curtis Mayfield impressions, I'll tell you what we're about to not do today. I'm done pushing. Okay. 2 straight BPE Fridays push. All right. I even had to come up here hosting on Saturday and be like, all right, and look at the recap screen where it's yet another push. Today, you know what we do? We push through. We're getting a win. I feel it.
Wow. I absolutely love that. Buckets, I felt like you were really vibing on the chip me up. Does that serve as your espresso today? You were feeling that one.
Oh, it really does. And I've got it now. I've heard it enough times to where I know whenever he goes Early Edge fam, it's kind of that bounce, bounce, bounce. And that's how I want to start my Friday.
By the way, that was you got to a pretty high octave there, Chip. I feel like you were it was a little look at me, Louie, a little showing off there with the pipes, huh?
Hey, listen, when you're holding it down in the St. Michael's Youth Choir all throughout your childhood, and you gotta understand how to hit the falsetto for riding that tenor section.
Wow. You just hit me with all kinds of stuff. I'm very impressed. Nick Castrucci in the chat, he says, M2 doesn't even flinch, and it cracks me up. Best poker face in the business. By the way, the World Series of Poker, I think starts up this week, and not the main event, but just the series of events leading up to the main event starts up, I believe, in the next few days. So that'll be an interesting time to monitor. I played in the World Series of Poker main event in 2018. I cashed. Don't worry about it. That's a story for another day. The story for right now, Buckets, is we need you to go 2-0. No pressure. You're kicking us off on BPE Friday.
All right, let's go ahead and go 2-0 then, Sia. And I've got 2 plays for us here as we wind down the European seasons. And we're going to start with a very juicy one. But this is the kind of play that might have some ladder action if you're a bit more risk averse than I am. Might be the phrase, maybe not, doesn't matter. Let's talk about La Liga and let's talk about Girona and Granada. Girona have had a historic season. They finished in a Champions League spot. They're 3rd on the La Liga table. David Obrick has done absolutely incredible for the squad. This is a team that can do no wrong. And they're playing a Granada squad who is done. Granada could win this game 145-0, and they still wouldn't avoid relegation. They are cooked. They've been horrible on the road, and they just want to go home and enjoy their summer, while Girona want to give their home fans one last hurrah. I'm taking Girona over 2.5 team total at -145, which means Girona has to score 3 here, and that's fine with me because I think they score 5 here. Sia, this is a game where if you want to have some fun with ladders, if you want to bet first half goals, if you want to use this as a parlay piece, you can do that. But even at the juice of -145, I have absolutely no problem playing that line. Then we're going to the Svein Bundesliga, the Rhein Bundesliga relegation playoff battle between Jan Regensburg versus Verein Wiesbaden. You got to remember, this is a 2-leg competition. So they play once at home at Regensburg, and then Verein Wiesbaden plays once at home. I'm taking both teams to score at -110 because Verein Wiesbaden is the way better side here. When they play at home, they probably win this game 3-0, 4-0, 5-0. This is just a difference in class between the two sides. But Jan Regensburg have to do something in this first leg at home. They have to score, and they have to try to produce some kind of result here. You are not going to stop Wiesbaden from scoring. So the question is, can Regensburg get one? And I think they can, only at home. So take the BTTS in this first leg only, Sia.
Okay. BTTS in the first leg only. Loving those plays, but not loving the pronunciation that I'm definitely going to mess up on the recap screen. You're going to want to stay tuned for that for sure. By the way, Chris Kish is in the chat, and he's got a lot of Formula One knowledge. He's got a lot of Formula One bets. I think there's a practice round going on in less than an hour. Go ahead and tail him on that if you feel so inclined. Follow Chris Kish on Twitter. I know he puts out a lot of Formula One bets. I see Bradley Jacobs, Buckets. He's talking about your plays. I think he was endorsing the team total over that you had there. Obviously, Bradley Jacobs does a lot of handicapping as well. And real quick, before we get to the two SportsLine picks, I believe we have two birthdays. One definitely in the chat. Brad Merrill, it sounds like it's your birthday. And I remember Steve Lochner saying it was his birthday yesterday. I don't know if he's still in the chat, but happy birthday, Steve. Happy birthday, Brad. We got to bring you some wins. Let's start with the SportsLine picks. Let's go with what the crowd likes, what the chat likes quite a bit. Rangers money line. Let's get that one back from Florida. Rangers money line -104. Does seem like a good spot to take them. That game is tonight at 8 o'clock. Florida, of course, leads 1-0. And then we're going to basketball. We're going to a pick on the SportsLine site from someone you know and love. It's Anthony Edwards under 12.5 rebounds and assists at -133. Again, Anthony Edwards under rebounds and assists only. This one, of course, Mavs at T-Wolves at 8:30. Mike, before we get to some more picks, I have a question about this Mavs T-Wolves game. Do you have a side you're leaning on? I got to be honest, I'm a little surprised that this line was 5 and then kicked up to 5.5. I know Minnesota's like kind of in desperation mode, being down 1-0. But 5.5 seems like a lot. I know you were on the Mavericks when it was +4.5. Does that mean you're on the Mavericks +5.5 too?
Yeah, like the Mavericks side here, Sia. I think that it's very possible Minnesota wins the game still, but I'm not expecting them to win comfortably in this matchup really at all. You look at that first game, and it's kind of what we speculated on a little bit. It's a different animal trying to defend Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic. Luka's size presents such a problem. But if you're Minnesota, you have to be incredibly concerned. You just lost on your home floor while making 12 more three-pointers. You shot more free throws in the game, and you won the turnover battle. Oh, and by the way, you got 11 points off the bench from Kyle Anderson and still lost that game on your home floor. Look, if the Mavs shoot 24% again from three, they're probably going to be in a tight competitive game like that. But if the Mavs shoot anywhere close to a season average from three, I think the Mavs are going to be able to pull away and win these games relatively easily. I just don't think anybody out there can guard Luka consistently.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a problem. Buckets, I got a question for you. I'm looking at all these bets from sites, from Mark Hood, from Rick's 1965, but I see Bradley Jacobs in here, and I don't even know what this is, so I'm just going to kick it to you. He says, Buckets, Ilves versus, not Elvis, but Ilves versus Olu, both teams to score. Any opinion on that before we move on?
I don't have the chat open. Is it LLVES?
It's ILVES. So yeah, close enough.
Okay. So he's betting on.
That's a different one. That's a different one. The one above that is Ilves v OULU, both teams to score.
Okay, so he's looking at the Haka versus Olu bet today in the Finnish top flight. I have absolutely no problem with that. As we start to lose some of the big European leagues and we switch the focus to countries like Sweden and Finland, we do see a lot of really poor defenses there, and Olu is definitely one of them. Love BTTS there.
All right. Good. Thank you for correcting that, Bradley Jacobs in the chat. So yeah, Buckets and Jake the Snake on the 1s and 2s was right about putting that comment up. All right. Well, if you want to take that play by Bradley or any of the plays we're about to give out or Bucket Soccer plays, go to BetMGM. New BetMGM customers can sign up today and get up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Just place your first wager of at least $10 and you'll receive up to $1,500 instantly if your bet loses with bonus code EDGE. That's bonus code EDGE. All right. We got to get to Mike McClure's baseball pick. We got to get to some golf picks. Plenty more to come right after this break.
The Champions League final. This is as big as it gets. The kings of the Champions League.
Dortmund are into the final.
Ain't gonna stop me now. This is the final round.
All his dreams coming true.
Dortmund versus Real Madrid in the UEFA Champions League final on CBS and streaming live on Paramount Plus.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Yeah, Chip Patterson blown away by the break, right?
Yeah, blown away. I mean, like I am always bringing that kind of enthusiasm, but that was powerful. That was powerful getting me ready for the Champions League final.
100%. Buckets, you got to be excited for the Champions League final.
Yeah, I am. And I'm sure we'll do a bunch of content here on SportsLine as well as on the site for this final. But I just want to see the Marco Reus Cinderella story. That's all I care about right now, Sia, which I know you know exactly what that means.
Yeah, no, of course. I was literally, you stole the words right out of my mouth. But we got to, before I elaborate on whatever you just said, we got to move on to Mike McClure's pick because, Mike, you have been, and this isn't really a surprise, you've been red hot in baseball. You got another baseball play for us today. What is it?
Yes, Sia, we are backing the New York Yankees on the road. Played the -112 against the Padres. Yes, we are betting against you, Darvish, today. Look, Darvish has been really pretty good so far. The expected data definitely a lot worse than the actual data, but this to me is giving the Padres a starting pitching edge, but the Yankees have a very distinct lineup edge and a very distinct bullpen edge. The Padres, simply put, have their ace on the mound, but they are a league average baseball team. I make the Yankees the second best team in Major League Baseball. So I have them winning 56% of the time. That means we should see a money line price -127. This Padres team has not been good against left-handed pitching, just 24th in Major League Baseball against the lefties. Now, when I look at Darvish, yes, he has been fine so far. However, I do have a little concern because now at this point in the season, we've got enough data where I can start to rely on some of that and compare to some of his previous seasons. His hard hit rate is the highest of his career. His strikeout rate is the lowest of his career. Now, that makes a little bit of sense as you continue to age, right? But this Yankees lineup is elite from top to bottom. A guy like Gleyber Torres literally hits 7th in this lineup, who would basically be a top 4 hitter on 27 of 30 Major League Baseball teams. Wow. So I love this Yankees price point really is what it is. Rodon, I think he's going to be fine pitching. Again, I love picking on the Padres with left-handers. You've also got a little narrative here. Juan Soto returning, facing the former team, obviously. I think it's just a fair price point on the Yankees. So I played them at -112. Again, I think the number should be -127.
Yeah, very interesting. All right, Yankees money line against Darvish, who has been, Chip, taking notes, right? Absolutely love that. By the way, speaking of baseball, Sniper is in the chat if you want to ask him anything. And Sniper, I don't know how much you scrolled up, but I know there were people in the chat that liked the Arizona Diamondbacks, like first 5 -0.5 against the Marlins or some sort of Diamondbacks lane. I don't know, Sniper, if you want to respond to that. Braxton Garrett on the mound for the Marlins, who has shown to be pretty good this season. He hasn't pitched much. So, I mean, I don't know about the sample size we've seen this season, but something to think about. And Mike McClure, let me just ask you something. I look at the Phillies going into Colorado. Now, it was a travel day for the Phillies yesterday going to Colorado. Christopher Sanchez on the mound, Ty Block on the mound. You can't really take the Phillies -225 here. I'm just curious, did you look at this game at all? Because I kind of want to take the Phillies -1.5 here at the juicy price of like -130, -135. Would that be a consideration for you?
I don't mind it. I would prefer to look at their team total and just isolate a team total in various different markets, whether it's first 5, first 7, full game. I think that the run line is definitely fine. It's just it's a difficult place to pitch for their pitching staff as well. And the Rockies in that absolutely crazy game with the A's yesterday really burnt through the bullpen there too. So it could be a really good spot for the Phillies. Yeah. Just my personal preference would be backing a team total more so than a run line.
Absolutely. And the Phillies bullpen certainly a little bit more rested than the Rockies one based on the last couple of days. Chip Patterson, I want to get to your golf pick in a second. I'm going to give mine out super quickly. Can I ask you though, Chip?
Sure.
And I don't know the answer to this question. Are you like, we're about 100 days away, I think, from college football. Are you already like putting out, like, is the Cover 3 podcast going? Like, should we be looking forward over the next 30 days to some college football content from you, or are we just still way too early?
No, we are not way too early. And in fact, if you head over to CBSSports.com, I have an article celebrating 100 days away from the start of college football. It is 100 names, games, and storylines to get you set. We look at the national title race, the Heisman Trophy race, some of the big picture stuff, but also some nitty gritty, some burning questions, some bold predictions. So definitely check that out over at CBSSports.com. And to answer your question, this is the homework time, right? Because the transfer portal is finally settled, which means over the next 2 to 3 weeks is when I really get into the lab and I put everything together. We start doing on the Cover 3 podcast our win totals episodes in July, and that runs us basically for about 6 weeks all across the country, different win totals, picks for every single power conference team. And so, like, yes, we have it coming. And where am I right now? Now that the rosters are set, now that things have calmed down with the portal, now it's time to get in the lab and start running those Chipalytics. So yeah, we are like fired up, ready to go. I've got a decent idea for the big picture, but I need to get into the nitty gritty because sometimes the best value is on that like over 5.5. Not necessarily trying to guess, who's going to win the Big 12, like Kansas State being a co-favorite with Utah at plus 350 to win the Big 12. Sometimes you got to get a little bit deeper to really find that value. That's where I'm going to be focusing my attention over the next couple weeks.
Okay, first of all, people are going to think that was a setup question and that was pre-planned. It 100% was not. I didn't expect the answer and the article and all that information. But the fact that also Mike McClure had the Kansas State helmet in his hand as Chip Patterson was talking is crazy because, Mike, I remember it was like literally it could have been 2 or 3 months ago when right when the college football season ended, we talked about college football futures. In fact, I remember it was on the early edge and we were like, hey, let's just for the heck of it, look at the board. And Kansas State wasn't even on the board at that time. And you said something to me about a Kansas State quarterback. I truly don't even remember his name, but I just remember you saying Kansas State quarterback, this guy is completely legit. He could launch Kansas State into a stratosphere that people are not expecting. Your comments there, am I remembering that conversation correctly?
You are, yes. I bet Avery Johnson 70-1 to win the Heisman. You cannot find that number anymore. Yes, he is an absolute freak athlete. So our friends at 24/7 Sports do this little freaks list every year where they look at all the freak athletes, right? They do the Spark testing, and his Spark testing score graded out higher than Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts. For just some comparison, but it's really the schedule for Kansas State. I actually have them favored in every single one of their games this season. They're now down to just plus 240 to make the college football playoff. Wow. Because remember, in the Big 12 this year, there is no Texas, there is no Oklahoma. They don't play Utah. They have a stretch late in season where they play 5 consecutive home games. This is a really, really favorable schedule for a quarterback who, again, I think is definitely on Heisman watch. Avery Johnson, just true dual threat quarterback. The question is, can he throw? We know he can run. You will see many, many highlights of him running all over this year.
And he looks fantastic. Sia, he's got long blonde hair. It kind of flows when he's breaking off downfield. And they're going to have an offense. Speaking of the transfer portal, they got a guy from Colorado named Dylan Edwards, a former blue chip prospect, kind of a shifty scat back. I mean, what is it about Kansas State and shifty scat backs? It feels like every 4 years we've got another one who pops up. After Deuce Vaughn, here comes Dylan Edwards, DJ Giddens. And so with all these different playmakers, whether it's Avery Johnson at quarterback, Dylan Edwards in the sort of slot back, or DJ Giddens, who's really good at running back, they're going to keep defenses on their heels. And it's going to be a really, really fun team to watch. I love that too, because you got to remember, making the playoff out of the Big 12, you win the Big 12, you're in the playoff because you've got the automatic bids for the new college football playoff format. So all stuff to keep an eye on. Don't worry, Sia, if you tee me up on college football questions every single Friday for the rest of the summer, we can rock and roll.
I mean, I'm already I already feel like I'm in NFL mode. And then after this show, I'm going to realize we're still 100 days out of college and NFL. But that was pretty impressive. And by the way, I just want to point out before I get to my golf pick, when we do futures and it's like right after the college football season, and Mike McClure mentions a guy like Avery Johnson in terms of winning the Heisman, like, don't necessarily just take those conversations as conversations for the sake of the show. Like, sometimes you're going to get closing line value because Mike says something 150 days out from the college football season. So, pay attention at your own will here. But I think I kind of wish I had that 70-1 Avery Johnson ticket. And to be perfectly honest, I don't. Mike does. I'm jealous. All right. What I'm not jealous of is my pick yesterday in a 3-ball. I had Aaron Rye over Brandon Wu and Bo Hostler. That was a morning play that I gave out Wednesday on the early edge. Well, it's an afternoon play today because we know they flip schedules on day 2. Okay, I'm going right back to it. I'm going to Aaron Rye. This one starts at, I believe, 1:12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Aaron Rye plus 120 over Brandon Wu and Bo Hostler. I don't think I really need to explain this again. I'll say this. This one was a back and forth affair. It was very close yesterday, but what I really liked about Aaron Rye, first of all, everybody knows I have him as an outright going into this tournament. I liked him going into this 3-ball. And by the way, he's 125-1 to win this tournament. He's only 5 shots off the pace. Not exactly a winning golfer in terms of really being able to close the deal, but if he was able to do it, this would probably be the talent field and the 5 shots back on a Friday type situation for him to come back and maybe climb towards the leaderboard. So 125 to 1, something to think about. But I like him here. The best thing, what I was going to say is the best thing I like about Aaron Rye is how he closed the back nine. He was really shaky on the front nine. He was down to both of these guys, Brandon Wu and Bo Hostler, and he closed the deal on the back nine. I thought his game really kind of came into play on the back nine, and I think that's going to translate into day 2. So give me Aaron Rye plus 120 over Brandon Wu and Bo Hostler yet again. By the way, this plus 120 price, it's at BetMGM. That's going to be the best number you're going to get. Other places about plus 115, plus 110. All right, well, Chip, we're going to stick with golf. We're going to go right back to golf here because you have a guy, you like a guy that I also have as an outright. I have 4 outrights. 2 of them are long shots. 2 of them are short shots. The 2 shorter shots were Aaron Rye and Sepp Straka. And then the 2 long shots were Daniel Berger and Doug Gim. Very, very much long shots. But it sounds like Sepp Straka is somebody you like today.
Yeah, Sepp Straka is somebody I've really liked over the last couple of weeks. I like where his game is at. And, he's got the kind of profile that when it comes to these round-by-round matchups, I'm always going to be a little bit attracted to. He was 3rd in the field, strokes gained tee to green. He was 9th in the field on approach play. Love that ball striking. Disappointing to lose some strokes with the putter, but let's dig in. Let's open up the hatch. Let's figure out what went wrong because it was just 2 par 3s, the 8th and 13th. Set himself up for a birdie putt, just could not get it done. So I think we could see a little bit of positive regression in that case. And we're going up against Austin Eckroat, who he's going to be playing with. And I was looking at the 3-ball because I liked Sepp Straka's profile, but he's also got Colin Morikawa there. And I kind of like what Colin's at. I'm a little bit in on him in the outright market. So let's isolate Sepp against Austin Eckroat because it was a chaos card for Austin Eckroat on Thursday. 2 birdies, 4 bogeys, really struggled to find the fairway and created an uphill battle. He was like fighting against it. Some good approach play kept him from only being 2 over because this could have been way, way worse. And so when I'm looking at Sepp Straka and I'm thinking about, the way that he's played recently, Players, Masters, Harbor Town, Wells Fargo, all T16 or better. And he's going to have a little bit of motivation because he made a mess with the putter and around the greens at the PGA Championship at Valhalla. Bounce back week for the former Bulldog, Big Sepp, minus 125 over Austin Eckroat.
Yeah, I like this play quite a bit. So, I think Sepp Straka is going to have a good day, a good tournament. Buckets, I don't know if you can see the chat. Bradley Jacobs has fired off some questions, but you might also have some live bets. Is that right?
Yeah, I put one in the chat for everyone there. This is a bit of a stretch here, but if you like betting on the Armenian Premier League, there's currently a match going on between BKMA Vagshadospat versus Van Charenstaven. Right now it is 0-0 in the 65th minute. If that game is still 0-0 around the 70th to 75th minute, look to live bet a goal in that game. These teams have played 14 times in club history. Never has a game ended 0-0, and both clubs just subbed on some of their best goal scorers. This last 20 minutes should look to be explosive. It's currently minus 180, so if you want to greed it a couple more minutes, that's fine. But this game could still see a goal, if not more here.
All right, and by the way, Bradley Jacobs, he had a bunch of questions. I've only gotten to this one, but Saint Etienne versus Rodez, both teams to score. Any thoughts there?
The juice is tough on that one. When I checked this morning, it was around minus 190. I would take both teams to score and Saint Etienne to win. I do think we see Saint Etienne get promoted back to Liga.
Wait,
and Josh Davis.
Trevor or Travis? Trevor or Travis Etienne? Which one?
Oh, exactly. Just speaking of college football. By the way, Josh Davis has a question. First of all, there was a question for me, Aaron Rye over Thomas Dietrich. I don't know what to think of Thomas Dietrich, but most of you that watch the early wedge know I was on him over the last couple of weeks. I don't think I would take that one. I would lean towards Aaron Rye because I do think he's the better course fit. But it's probably a stay away for me, but it's a lean towards Rye. But Chip, I got a question for you. Sepp Straka over crafty, course fitty Brendan Todd. Do you like that one at all?
I would be very wary. I mean, I've been off on Brendan Todd. When I'm on, he's letting me down. When everything says take Brendan Todd, he ain't getting it done. But here's what I do like, and I mentioned it earlier. That's a couple Bulldogs right there. That's a couple former Georgia Bulldogs. So who's that coming on down the track? Ooh, yeah, I like the rivalry there. So let's keep riding with Sepp. That was where my starting point was. I looked at all the round one information, the data, what we were able to gather, and I was like, I think Sepp Straka is going to be a good play here for round 2.
Yeah, and I'll throw one other one out to you as well. And this isn't going to be at all books, but this is going to sound really weird. I like Shez Reavie today over Vincent Norman. I just think he's a much better course fit. Shez Reavie was really good yesterday. I kind of liked him going into the tournament. He lost over 3 strokes with the putter. It was really bad, but Vincent Norman, really, this is not a good course fit. He's probably not going to be good anywhere, whether that be off the tee approach or with the short game. So that's something to consider as well. Mike McClure, were there any questions you needed to answer before we get out of here?
I don't think so, other than I just had to do like a triple take when I was looking at the leaderboard. Someone I backed who a lot of people faded and I struggled with backing him all week was Jordan Spieth. Saw my DFS account winnings go up massively just now, so I had to see what the heck was going on.
Yeah.
Jordan Spieth is on 59 watch right now. He is, -5 through his first 6 holes.
Amazing.
Okay. Yeah, he is absolutely crushing this course this morning somehow, some way. Jordan Spieth is doing something special right now.
Let's go.
You know what's really interesting about this tournament? This is the last. I'll leave you with this. This is a really good tournament, I think, to live bet. That's why I even considered the Aaron Rai at plus 125. I'm sure you could have gotten Jordan Spieth at a great number considering where he was by the finish of round 1. But what I like about this tournament is there's some scoring opportunities, but there's a lot of pitfalls in this tournament too. So you can get a guy, you can be down 6 or 7 strokes, and you can get the leaders having just a pedestrian or a +2 type of day, and a Jordan Spieth type who started a day 6, 7 strokes back can have, even if he doesn't, continue this streak, even if he finishes just 4 under. This is the type of tournament where there's enough pitfalls, but enough scoring potential from some of these guys where you can really catch up and close pretty quickly. So keep that in mind Friday night. There might be some live plays at hand. All right, Mike, thanks for that update. Let's take a look at the recap screen. Man, we tried to cover it all. I know we missed some questions in the chat. I apologize, but I guess this would be an hour show if we did get to everything. Buckets, Girona, team total over 2.5 at -145. And here we go. Regensburg, Wiesbaden, both teams to score -110. I'm pretty sure that was close. All right, I've got my same round 1 3 ball at round 2. Aaron Rai, +120 over Brandon Wu and Bo Hostler. Mike McClure, Yankees, money line, -112. Chip Patterson, Sepp Straka, that's my guy, -125 over Austin Eckroat, SportsLine. 2 picks, Rangers money line tonight and Anthony Edwards under 12.5 rebounds and assists. You'll get way more picks, plenty more on the SportsLine app. I know you all know how to join. Hopefully everybody in there is a member of SportsLine, and hopefully you're all subscribed to this channel because we bring it every single day, not just this show, but we got plenty of shows on this channel, and we're going to bring you plenty of content. Chip mentioned it, college football, NFL football, futures. We're going to bring some NFL futures onto the Early Edge show. We're going to start that probably next week. Plenty of content coming your way. Everybody, let's have a Big Pick Energy Friday. Let's cash some tickets. On behalf of Chip Patterson, on behalf of Buckets, on behalf of Mike McClure, Jake the Snake on the 1s and 2s, 3s and 4s, and every single person in the chat. We appreciate you every single day. We want to see you back here Monday. And we want to see you here tomorrow, Saturday, for our 10 o'clock show as well. Ladies and gentlemen, again, let's have a great Friday. I am the Counselor of Cash. This is the Early Edge, and we rest our case.